Recording in progress.
Good evening, everyone. The time is 7:03, and I'm calling this meeting into order. This meeting is being recorded. Councilwoman Fareed, could you do the invocation? Hi, Councilwoman Fareed, could you do the invocation, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Father God, thank you for this time to come together to do the business of the city of Glenarden. We ask that all hearts and minds will be clear as we look to further the interests of the city. God, let our discourse be civil, let our objectives be clear, and let our work be fruitful. We thank you for all that you do for us. In Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, can you do the roll call, please? Madam Clerk? Okay. Can you all hear me?
I can hear you. Can we just do it ourselves?
I can hear you. I think something may be wrong with her audio because you can see that she's not looking.
Oh, okay. Councilwoman Fareed,
Here.
Councilwoman Guillaume,
Here.
Councilman Harrison,
Here.
Councilman Herring,
Here.
thank you. Councilwoman Jones. Here. Councilwoman Ferguson, I'm here, and Councilman Curtis is absent today. We have 6 in attendance. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
A second? Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Herring. I guess, do we take the roll call?
Good evening, council. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, any discussion? No. Madam Clerk, can you take the roll call to accept the agenda?
Point of order, Madam President, Vice President. I have my hand up for discussion.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Councilwoman Jones, proceed.
Can we include in topics of discussion the letter that was sent to the council on I think it was March 10th, concerning the citizens at Glenarden Towns?
Okay. I can't hear them.
What was it, again, Councilwoman?
The
Jones.
letter that was sent to the council on March the 10th concerning the Glenarden Towns residents.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other? Okay, could you take the roll call, Madam Clerk, to accept the agenda?
Councilwoman Fareed?
Yes.
Councilwoman Guillaume?
Yes.
Councilman Hairston?
Yes.
Councilman Herring?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jones?
Yes, with the addition of the letter from the Glenarden Towns citizens.
All right, and Vice President Ferguson?
Yes.
And the council president will not be able to join us this evening. You have a quorum.
Thank you. So, first on the agenda is the legislation, a resolution to establish a farmer's market in the city of Glenarden. Are there any questions or discussions concerning this legislation?
Yes, Madam President.
Councilman Herring, proceed.
Yes, I think it's a good idea. I'm glad we're doing it. But I looked at the legislation,
Mhm.
and I think that 90-day timeline is entirely too short. I went to the Maryland State Department of Agriculture website, and they actually have the steps for starting a new farmers market, and there's a lot of steps involved, including getting permits from the county, getting approval from the state, getting approval from the health department. So that's all not going to be done in 90 days. And from me speaking to farmers at various farmers markets, they always say that, they usually make their schedules at least almost a year in advance where they're going to be and where they're going to set up. So getting farmers established for this farmers market probably may even take about a year, or either well into the fall. You may get the fall harvest what's coming due in the fall. So I think the timeline on here, that 90-day timeline is too short. Also, we got a brand new city manager on board, and I think that's a lot for her to take on board as just coming in. Another thing is the committee, the steering committee. It says that the city manager shall be the chair of the committee and shall approve the 3 resident members. And no, our charter requires the mayor and council to appoint all committee members. So that can't be done, based on what our charter has in there. I'm not understanding why the market would be considered an enterprise operation for the city of Glenarden, because I don't think we really should be trying to make money off of it. I think it should be an opportunity for farmers, especially Black farmers, to be able to sell their product. I don't believe we should have fees and all this other stuff that goes with it, but that can come down to more discussion.
I'm sorry.
I'm also looking at the $25,000. What is that for? What is that for?
I'm sorry, point of order, Council Vice President, Councilman Herring, can we take each of these points and discuss them rather than kind of go through
Sure.
the whole list?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. If you would, Councilman Herring.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the 90-day, let me start all over.
Yes, so the 90-day one was what you started with. And let me just say,
And I
and
concur.
certainly other comments, I'm fine with that. I put an aggressive timeline just for us to start to have something to work from. I don't want this to be something where we put a legislation forward and then it's years before we do anything. So I'm fine to put
Right,
a
you
different
understand that, yeah.
timeline. We can just, we can change that. I'm not wed to the 90 days, but the co-sponsors, whatever, how you feel.
Yeah, I agree with Councilman Herring.
Mhm.
With
Okay.
that one.
And also,
So sorry, should we ask the city manager for what she might think is a reasonable time frame? And maybe we should phase it, or maybe we should order it like what activity will be completed when, like a timeline. Would that be helpful, Councilman?
Should we maybe post the resolution?
Council Clerk,
post it?
I mean, not post it, just share it. I mean,
Oh, share it.
Yeah, I think, may I, Council President? This is Councilwoman
Yes, ma'am.
Guillaume. I
Yes,
was just agreeing, saying that I think it would be a good idea if the clerk shared the screen. So,
yeah.
Can everyone see it?
It needs to be a little bigger
Oh,
if you can.
All right, let's see.
Then open the, up at the top, the box up on the upper right.
The
I'm
square
s-
next to the X. in
The
between
square next to the
dash
X.
and X, above.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Okay, Councilman Herring.
yeah. So, yeah, we can go to page 2. So item number, yeah, again, but item number 2, where it says that the city manager shall select members for the committee, that's actually up to the council, mayor and the council per the charter. All committees will be established and all committee members will be voted on and approved by the council. So those 3 members are coming from the city.
Okay,
Coming
I
from
mean,
the
I think
city.
that's- Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I think that's fine. To be honest with you, I just don't want this to end up, again, being a situation where we have a steering committee that never gets filled. We have other committees in the city, like the youth advisory, et cetera, and these committees remain unfilled for various reasons, but that's why I put it,
I mean,
but you are right. You
but
are
I-
right.
I think it's just a matter of us bringing legislation, picking somebody, because the council or the mayor can appoint people. It isn't like we got to wait for the mayor to do it. If we know people that want to do it, we can just throw them up in that position.
Okay. But they're co-sponsors. I'm
What line was that, Councilman Herring?
It's item number 2, where it says, the city manager shall be the chair of the committee and shall approve the 3 resident members.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, and I guess the next item is the enterprise operation. So we're saying it's going to be a moneymaker for the city.
yes, if we disagree, then we can take that out.
Now, I'm just saying, because usually when these get started, usually you just basically trying to get people to come, because a lot of the farmers, like I say, farmers I've talked to at these various farmers markets, they want to make sure that there's there's going to be customers. They're going to be able to make money. Some of the ones I talked to have come from Eastern Shore and as far as the Virginia, North Carolina line to come up here to different farmers markets. And like I said, I know DC got 22 farmers markets, and they want to make sure that if they come in all this way that they can make money off of it. And I don't think that, right at this point in now, when it's starting so early and trying to get one established, having fees and trying to make money off of it would not be a good idea, because they're not going to want to put out the money if they're not sure they're going to make any money off of the location. So I was wondering what was the thought? What the thought was of making it an enterprise operation. But I mean, it's up to the the council if they want to, can keep that in there. I just think we need to just give opportunities to them, especially farmers who have it hard anyway with farming in general. But I mean, I'm just questioning that. Whatever the council want to do, it's fine with me. And the next item is item number 4. The steering committee shall be allocated $25,000 from the city's reserves. And I'm trying to figure out, what is the $25,000 for?
For operating the space. So if anything, well, first we need to figure out where it's going to be, right? So if the space needs to be made fit for it, like having some sort of a tent, awning, whatever's needed to get that operational. Tables for for the people who are going to be selling at stations. If we need to get point of sale machines, like you don't just say come to the farmers market and then all the farmers come in. There's some setup involved with it, so that's what that would be for.
Well, most farmers markets I went to, they had their own POS system, and you know, and you know, because a lot of them are hooked up to their phones. There's no electricity where where it is, or Wi-Fi or anything else. They normally have their own POS, you know, that they operate through their phone.
Yeah,
So I know
there's a
we should.
couple of ways that could be done, and when we get to point 8, we can talk a little bit more about that, because the facilitation of being able to accept things like SNAP and WIC may not be something that an individual farmer can do, but something that we as a city would want to offer as a benefit, and so therefore we would need machines to be set up that way. But if you think that number is too high, then, you know, we can certainly lower it, but that was an initial starting point, with the committee presenting then a detailed operating budget so we could see. So if they come up, you know, whatever they decide as the operating budget, we could see if it's $5,000, then it's, you know, then we wouldn't get
Okay.
65 if it's only 5.
Yeah, I mean, I was just wondering what it was for, because again, like I said, if we're going to be buying terminals for them to use, mobile terminals for them to use, then I mean, we have to set up the merchant account, which means the money will be going into our bank account, which means that's an additional step where we have to basically cut them checks. And I don't think we need to separate the whole thing. If they're a business, then they're a business, and we don't need to be involved in any of that.
Right.
So that's just my thing. And then, okay, you wanted to speak on I didn't have any questions on number 8. I know, I mean, I agree with, you know, the participants being able to take, you know, SNAP, WIC, and other kind of forms of payment. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Just like you said, the logistics of them being able to do it is what we have to look at.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Again, like number 9 is having a fee for the farmers market. And I'm just like, at this point, with us just trying to start a new farmers market, just to attract vendors to even come here who have never come here before. You know, I think asking for a fee would probably deter them from coming. I think most of the ones that do come that I know of from farmers markets, they either have their own setup. They have the tables, they have the chairs, they have everything that they need to set up. And they used to have a really huge one under the Metro Tracks on Benning Road. I don't know if it's still there, but that's the one I used to always go to, and I would talk to them there, and they would bring everything that they needed for, you know, to sell their wares. So
Well, I just
yeah,
thought per our
mhm.
code, it was the vendors were required to pay fees. We could waive those fees, but I thought if anybody wanted to sell something in the city of Glenarden, they had to pay a fee, a vendor fee for that.
If the city is sponsoring it, you know, we don't have to collect a fee if we're sponsoring an event. I mean, we have, you know, events now where, you know, I mean, that's something we can look at. I mean, yeah, we may have to do a resolution, just like you say, just to waive it all together.
Mhm.
If the charter's requiring it, even though it's something that we're putting on, so we can look at that and see. But I do think that if we do it, it just looks like we're going to do it. I think the best place to do it would be over there on a bank parking lot, over there between the hairdresser and the church, all that city property. Used to be a bank there, so it's got a parking lot there. It's level. I think it'd be easily accessible for people who are disabled.
Yeah.
And it's on a major highway that gets a lot of traffic,
Yeah,
which is what they're going to be looking for.
That's the space that Mr. Simpson and I had looked at as well. Mr. Simpson is on the call, but there would be some stuff that needed to be done to that area. I think part of that pavement is like cracked up and has like grass growing through it. So I think there would need to be some kind of work done to get that to be a nice place to have it. And I think there was a question, Mrs. Simpson, correct me if I'm wrong, what we needed to get clear exactly on where the line is with the church.
Yes, ma'am, Councilwoman Fareed. Good evening, all. Just to make sure where our boundaries are, I wasn't able to clearly say where they started and ended.
Yeah, I mean, the boundary is really, I mean, it's a nice size piece of property. The boundary is small when it comes to the church. When you come from the side of the church out, I think it's, I don't know how many, it's not many feet. It's not very wide. But the Glenarden property is larger than, is a nice size piece of property over there. again, like I said, a church lot, you know, because normally they would ask us if they wanted to use any part of that lot over there because they know that the lot is restricted. Most of their lot is in the front and the back, where they used to have parking in the back. So I mean, we can look at that and see, but I don't think the church comes too far over onto the bank property. So it's something to look at, but again, just starting out, you know, you might have but so many vendors just starting out. But I think, you know, location wise and traffic wise, you know, I think they'd be more apt to come if they could say, you know, we can say, okay, we're on 704 and it's just like 1,000 cars or however many cars an hour is riding up and down the highway daily, you know, and they see people may be more apt to stop and you know, purchase their wares. So, I mean, because all the other locations to me are hidden, and that's what, you know, most farmers don't want is a hidden location because they can't sell much because it won't be open to a larger audience. I mean, a larger customer base. So, I mean, that's all I had on it. Other than that, I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Councilman Herring. Any other comments or concerns on this legislation?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jones.
I agree with Councilwoman Fareed concerning that lot next to the bank, but I'm sure we could use PG Atlas or have one of the PG Atlas is used by code enforcement to determine where property lines are. So I'm sure we could use them to find out exactly where that is. And we do. I think if we are going to determine to use that lot, that it would need to be. We need to know how big that space is, because for farmers market, you want everybody to have enough room to be able to display and sell their items. Thank you.
Is this the area between the church and the side of the Boyette's hair salon?
Yes.
Where they had, is that like where they had those dumpsters where you drop off clothes and stuff like that? That area?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
but those dumpsters are gone.
Yeah, but that's that little area, that area right there is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Thank you.
But I think also what we need to do is, Madam President, if I.
Yes, you may.
Yeah. We need to actually, the property was surveyed, and the survey should be somewhere up in that building. But if it wasn't, then we may have to just pay for a survey, because PG Atlas is a good idea of where you're going, but they've always told me that it's not the actual lines. The lines could be off a little bit. So if we really want to be sure where the property begins and ends, we may just want to just get a complete survey on the property. It probably needs to be surveyed anyway, but and I know it has been surveyed before. So if it isn't up there, we probably want to survey it to just make sure we don't have no issues whatsoever if somebody want to claim that we're on their property and we actually are on city property.
Mhm.
So I think that'd probably be the best thing for us to do.
Right. And that'd probably be like a line item for the detailed operating budget in point 4, right? Because the survey is probably going to cost $3,000.
But I think they really do need to just check up there, because we had all of the city property, and that's a buildable lot. So I know that was surveyed.
Mhm. So something like that would be could be included in the operating coming out of that budget. The
That
cost
budget
of
line
the
item.
survey.
Yeah, that's the idea. Like whatever we need to spend to get the space to be suitable for the
Right.
market.
But I also think that the property needs to be surveyed anyway. Even for auditing purposes, it should be surveyed. So we don't have a survey for it. We can just have it surveyed. That's something we should have in our records anyway,
Yeah.
on where the location of the property is. So the budget we're looking at is for 2024. We need to, we want to survey it, and we're trying to move forward with this. We need to survey it now. It isn't like we can't use that information somewhere else. We need it for the audit anyway. So it's a buildable lot. So we want to survey it, and they don't get it appraised also. But I think should be some money in the budget somewhere now where we can go ahead and do a survey on that piece of property.
Okay.
Council President.
Yes, Councilwoman Jones.
And most properties that have been surveyed, they leave stakes. So if Public Works can't find the stakes anywhere that gives you an indication as to where they were, yeah, it really does need to be resurveyed.
Okay. Are there any other concerns, questions, or comments on this legislation? Okay, some good discussion. Hearing none. Next on the agenda. Oh, we didn't even do I skipped over the minutes. I'll go back on that. The minutes. We have the minutes, March 6th, the work session, March 14th, the public hearing, March 15th, special regular session, and March 20th, regular session. We have those meeting minutes, and can go over them and discuss and or prepare for voting on April 17th. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, we're gonna go with we have the mayor, the reports, the mayor report, the acting, the city manager's report, chief of police, treasurer report. We all have that, those. Anyone have any comments or concerns to mention in this meeting? If not,
Yes, I just want to ask a question because there's some confusion out here. Are we having 2 Easter egg hunts? It's just one.
as far as I know, and we can hear from Councilwoman Fareed, we're having one. The city's having one, and that would be on our property.
Okay, because somebody just read me something that said they're going to having one at Glenarden Community Center.
Yes, there's an advertisement that was put out by Mayor Cross, and I think it's with the fraternity. She used the city seal and her name, Mayor Christina Cross. I don't know anything further than that, but it's on on the park and planning property. And the only thing that I know of, I don't know whether it's any funding or anything, but the only thing that I know of is that associate us at all is our seal and the mayor. Councilwoman Fareed.
Yeah, so the event that is being held on our property I wasn't aware of the other event at the time of that. So I can't speak to the one that's happening at the Glenarden Community Center, but the event that's happening on the grassy knoll across from the police station, that is the city event is using our space. The funding for the event, so the eggs, the candy, etc., is coming from Zion Landover. They wanted to do something for the citizens, the residents of the Glenarden community for Easter, and so that was what they approached with. The event is for Glenarden, in that they didn't even advertise it at the church for church members to sign up. Again, the idea was to bring the church's resources to the city. I did use a small portion of my miscellaneous account, less than $100, to buy steaks to just say Easter egg hunt this way, just a little bit of decor. But in terms of all of the refreshment, all of that, the Zion Landover is provided.
So we're just providing the space?
Yes.
Okay, I think one of the issues unfortunately the mayor's not here to answer this is, again, citizens saw the one extravaganza. And we really got to get in the habit of sending out postcards for these events because my citizens don't know what's going on. You know, they're like, we're having what? I said, it's an Easter egg hunt on the 8th, you know, over on the grassy knoll and behind the city hall. And they're like, you know, oh, when did this happen? When are we going to hear about it? And again, we keep on relying on social media and people are not getting the information. And I think that in order for people to for everybody to be able to participate in these events, some kind of communication needs to go out, and we can't just simply rely on social media. Because again, I'm getting a lot of questions from people like, when did this happen? Or when I didn't hear about it. You know, when are y'all, why don't y'all mail out something? You know, they don't look at the marquee, they can't read the marquee. I mean, all of that. And now we're looking at two, you know. Because I was wondering why I was up on the marquee twice. I thought, oh, well, you know, maybe they have a different design for it or what. I didn't even know about the mayor's event. And I had criticized her last time for the same thing, you know, having these events and not sending out anything to the neighborhood, you know, to have more people participate. Because I think a lot more people would participate if they knew, you know, what was going on in the community. So, again, I mean, I cannot stress enough that it's important that we mail stuff out because everybody, just like the lady that came to the last public meeting and said, I don't do social media, you know, so she don't do social media, so she won't know nothing about it, you know, and there's other people out here who don't do social media. They may want to bring their grandkids or the kids, you know, to the event and to the events that are happening. So I just want to throw it out there again because it's starting to be a problem that we're having events and everybody cannot participate because they don't know about it and it's not being widely advertised. And we're using social media as our main vehicle for getting the information out to people. So,
I don't know
so we
if
have
it's
two.
Sorry, I don't know if I would say it was the main one. I know that Ms. Ward sent out the communication in all the avenues that we have. I know it was sent out in the newsletter, the one that, you know, gets sent to people. I've seen that. But I will just say that I don't see an issue with there being two events. I think that the more opportunities and activities there are for people in this area, you know, that's great. There was when the Evite was set up so that people could RSVP for tickets. There were 125, those were sold out, and I opened up another 25. So we have a lot of people who are attending. And again, it wasn't advertised outside of the community. But I mean, I hear what you're saying, Councilman Herring. I think that as just in general, we should probably take a look at events and the cost of you know, sending out. I know I personally never get those flyers until after the event, so they're not an effective means of communication for me. And I don't know if the cost of doing them broadly to the whole city is worth it. Maybe we can, you know, have a targeted list for those people who would prefer to have mailings done to them so that they can be mailed information. I don't know, but I also, you know, I was hoping to keep this event at as little cost to the city as possible, given that it wasn't a budgeted event from when we created our budget for the year.
Well, I mean, but we have a line item for community outreach in our budget, which, you know, you can send postcards and stuff from. And usually, if you mail a postcard first class, it's like 30-something cents. And now to get to the people in 2 weeks, so you got to give yourself a 2 week lag time. If you mail it bulk, then you don't ever know when they're going to get it.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing. There wasn't a whole lot of lead time on this either. I think it was only about 3 weeks ago.
Right. So yeah. So I'm just saying. I think we need to look at that.
I think
you know,
what we
because
can do for next year certainly is put something now in the budget. Now that we know we have a partner in Zion Landover and they want to be involved, we can, you know, put together a budget so this can be a better planned event, you know, going forward. But I certainly didn't want to say, no, let's not do anything for the kids when something was being made available.
Okay. And I do, like I said, again, and like I said, it is two separate events. And I know, you know, I don't know how people want to distinguish between which one they want to go to or which one they registered for, you know, unless they get clear directions on where to go. Because a lot of times if they come up Glenarden Parkway and they see the events going on over there, that's where they're gonna go. You know, when they see everything over there, that's where they're gonna go. So
Well,
yeah.
as someone with a 5-year-old, it doesn't take that long to do an Easter egg hunt, to hunt for some eggs, and it would not be a problem to go to both for me.
Mm,
So, I mean, I just think we should count it a blessing that in our city that, you know, whomever has resources to bring here so that our children can, you know, have something fun to do to celebrate.
well, I just think, you know, some communication need to be had, and we should have just did one as the city of Glenarden instead of splitting it up. You know, but you know, you know, we know how things are on this. You know, when it comes down to some of the elected bodies in the community, they want to do their own thing. You know, ain't calling out no names. So you know, I know that probably won't ever happen, but I think that's what we should try to work towards, doing one for the whole community. Because if you can do, you know, 2 separate ones and for 100 kids each, you can do one for 250 kids and have you know, pull everybody together as a community instead of separating, because that seems like what's going to happen. But
I agree.
yeah, that was just my concern.
Planning would be, you know, ideal.
Yeah, you know, but I know what you know what we're dealing with. So, all right, that's it for me. On the mayor's report, I have nothing else on any other reports. Yeah, I'm done.
Council President, may I
I'm
just?
sorry, Councilwoman Guillaume, I was muted. Go ahead.
Okay, no, it's okay. A lot of the things that were stated that I wanted to say was already stated, so I'll just quickly state that it was, both events were advertised in the April to June newsletter side by side. And I think, and this is to Councilman Herring's point, which I do agree. I will say that I did get calls from different citizens who were confused because they saw the city seal on both flyers right next to each other. So, and it's also at the same time. I think, and again, not trying to have this conversation last any longer than it already has. But I think, again, similar to what Councilman Herring said and others, I'm following suit. I will not mention any names, but even if communication was had, maybe where it could be Easter egg hunt for one event from 11 to 1 and another one from 1 to 3, or however it was, then it would be more bang for the buck, or just one event like was stated. But just wanted to say that a lot of the confusion, at least on my end, came from phone calls. And I can, at least, I don't want to mention throw this person in there, but I did reach out to Council Vice President at one point and say, did you get another flyer? Because I'm seeing something else here about the event, and I'm seeing the seal. So I think in the interest of time, I'll stop speaking, but I also would like later on, not today specifically, for us to discuss the usage of the city seal. If it's a city event, city-sponsored event, I get it being used, but if it's us individually doing things, when I say us, I mean individual elected officials, non-legislative or whatever, we should really talk about that to avoid confusion.
I agree. And when I reached out to acting city manager Chief Bryant at the time, I did not know that there was another event going on at that time. If so, I wouldn't, you know, I don't think any of us would have moved forward with anything.
Right.
And I think that if Chief Bryant had known, he would have let me know that there was another event. So I think we need to, I think in addition to what you said in terms of like the city seal and the, you know, the process by which we describe something as a city event, we also need to have some sort of governance over what gets posted to the city website.
Yes, so I think what I'm hearing is we have other types of conversation for another meeting, not necessarily tonight. But again, I just want to be clear, like if it's Councilwoman Guillaume that's doing an event, I wouldn't use the seal, but that's just because it's not a city sponsored event. But if it's you know, the city of Glenarden, and I just happen to be the host one or part of the hosting committee, or just individual, or just me by myself representing the city, that's different. But I'll be quiet now.
Thank you. I do want to
Council
add that I had concerns about that also, and I had planned on maybe reaching out to we do need to have some kind of language or something written, standards, codes or something as to the use of the seal, because sometimes the seal can be used and, you know, alongside with someone, and we don't even know, they could have a front or something like that. I'm just keeping it real, we don't know everybody, and they could be doing something else, and our seal is there. We don't even, agree with what they do, or what they represent. So I was planning on maybe trying to confer with the attorney to see if there's something that he could come up with, or just get his take on that, and then maybe we could put something in place. Because to freely use the seal on any and everything, I have a problem with that. And especially on events that do not benefit the city at all. And there have been cases where in this case, they are benefiting the city, but the seal has been on events that is in New York, in Virginia, everywhere, and it doesn't benefit the city. So we're gonna look into that and see what he suggests, if any. I did speak with the city manager a little bit, and found out that it couldn't be trademarked, but there's something we can do an ordinance or something. So that's all. Councilman Harrison.
Hey, so I had a question. When we doing events as a collective, like are we like working together when we doing events? Are we just throwing events? I'm trying to figure out how like council members are getting information, or how is it that we can help out or give a hand if we wanted to? Because like I didn't know nothing about this until I seen a flyer, and if I missed it, I apologize. But if somebody mentioned it, but I didn't know nothing about it. But I would like to attend as much stuff as I can. But like sometimes I catch it on social media when it comes to social media. So like when we, I just know for me in particular, like when we doing events, I try to make sure I include everybody that's on the board when I'm doing something. So I just wanted to know like like how we going about things when we when we having stuff. And I know everybody got their own events that they have and they throw, but if somebody can like leave something in my inbox or something like that, I love to be able to make sure that I'm at everything that somebody's having or throwing into support.
I appreciate that, Councilman Harrison. I thought I usually always do. I try to keep you all informed of the things that I'm working on. So if I missed that was a miss on my part. But I know that it definitely wasn't intentional. So yeah, when the opportunity was before me, and again, it was like 3 weeks ago. It wasn't a long time. And so I was like, well, this sounds like a great idea for the city. And reached out to acting city manager, Chief Bryan at the time, about this space and like what was even permissible.
Okay, thanks.
Madam President.
I think I seen Councilwoman Guillaume's hand up.
Yes, thank you,
And then-
Thank you, Council President. I promise again, I won't take long. I think to Councilman Hairston's point, to me, it's even broader, if I may. I feel that there are events that people who are coming into the city want to have, and they are notifying certain arms of the city, but that arm isn't communicating with the legislative body. So what it appears like at the end is there are no council members there, but the council members didn't know about the event, or they heard about it late in the game. So I think this is universal, where all parties, whether it's the administrative function or the legislative arm, if there is an event that's going to be had, let's just make sure that the entire body, both bodies that is, know what's going on, so we can avoid different things from being stated about other arms of the body. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Herring.
Yeah, and I actually had another question, but I do want to echo what Councilwoman Guillaume said. But I think the council has been very good about sharing information about the events that we're having, when we're having, and letting the administration know that we are having. So, I think we're doing what we need to do. But another question, since we're talking about events, and that's to the chief about the daddy-daughter dance. I got a little bit of information on that when I talked to Sergeant Richardson, but can you give me an overview of what that's about? Because a lot of people are actually questioning what is it about and what does it entails, because it's called a sneaker ball. So could you expound on that?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. How y'all doing?
Hi.
Pretty much, it's an event that Sergeant Richardson came up with. He said he's been contemplating it for a couple of years now, and basically what it is to get the fathers more involved in their kids' life and have them, father as a role model for the kids. So he came up with that event to get the parents involved, especially the father with the daughters and stuff, and having them come out like on, like a prom night, or just getting the fathers in their daughter lives earlier, before marriage and all the type of stuff. And the sneaker part came in with the young kids these days. A lot of them go to proms and different events and stuff. They wear like tuxedos, fashion dresses and stuff, but they wear tennis shoes with it. So that's more the theme for the younger generation. So that's pretty much what it's all about in reference to that.
Okay, and it's free, right?
Yes. Only thing he's doing is he's asking people to register so he can get a count of the people in the city of Glenarden that's attending. We want to make sure that, it's for the residents of Glenarden. So that's
Now,
the way.
if somebody, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes. So he just want to make sure that we got citizens in the city of Glenarden involved. So he has like a registration information out. And I think it's on their site.
So now if someone doesn't have social media, how would they be able to attend? Can they call a town hall? Will they register them? How would they do that if they know about it? Because again, this is another event, as I told you, I sent you the postcard
yes, sir.
sample that you could have probably mail out, but I mean, people are asking about it. I mean, because they really don't know what's going on, again.
Right. So, and your information was very valuable, and I appreciate that. I got with him about that, and the dollar value of $700 for this being the first time and the time frame. We didn't think it would be beneficial for us at this first one, as far as sending it out for that amount of money for the short period of time, trying to get it out. So this first one's going to be more like a touch and go, see how it goes, how it turns out, and so forth. So I'll be reaching out to him also to see what other avenues he'd be utilizing to make sure that the citizens are involved. I know he's putting it on the police Facebook page also, but like you said before, people that don't have that's not on social media, I'll see what avenues he's using to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my thing is this, honestly, Chief. If you mail the cards out, it takes 2 weeks to get there. And within 2 weeks, all the cards get out. Usually, if you mail them on a Monday, first class, you usually get them in 3 days. So I think that something should have been done because again, this is a city event. We're spending city tax dollars, and everybody should be able to participate in these events and not have to rely strictly on social media and registration to be able to attend. Or be able to say whether they don't attend. They should know what's going on in their city and know that we are putting on events for them, because what I'm always hearing that the city doesn't do anything, but we are doing things, but they just don't know about it. So that's my concern. This is taxpayers' money. These people pay their tax dollars. They should know what's going on in their city. So I don't think, even if it was a short turnaround to get those cards out, they should have still went out, I feel, to these citizens so that they know that this is coming up, because somebody may want to take that. They may want the opportunity to take their daughter to an event like this, which I think is a very positive event where little girls can be with their dad and have that communication and that connection, So again, I think it's perfect.
I agree. And we were looking at the $700 too, coming out the budget, because I think we got a couple other events coming up before. I think he has one other event that might be coming up before the budget. And I think the $700 kind of like pushed us over. So we're looking at that too. So, but I totally agree. And as soon as you gave me that information, I shared it with him, and he like, so yeah, for the future, we make sure that we have enough money budgeted to get these things out, because we already know the events that we usually have in every year. So I most definitely appreciate it, and we utilize.
When is it?
Oh, it's should be April 22nd.
April 22nd. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other discussions? Okay, hearing none, we have our topic of discussion. Councilwoman Jones, did you want to go ahead with the letter of March 10th?
Sure. I just wanted to try to get some information. I called reaching out to the Homeowners Association president. I haven't gotten a call back from him. I was wondering if any of the other council had reached out, or maybe Councilman Herring, you're in Ward 1. Have they reached out to you, and can you give us any information pertaining to that?
Yes, I actually did reach out to him, and he called me about a week ago. So I can give you an update on that. Basically, he was concerned because he felt that the legislation that we passed actually took the rights of the homeowner away, of the homeowners association away when it came to their streets. And I told him, no, the ordinance only requires the city to maintain the streets, for potholes or whatever, and snow plowing, but all the HOA rules stay in effect. And he was just like, okay, good, because they're trying to get a parking permit thing over there also. So that was his biggest concern, was that he thought that because we accepted their streets, that their HOA rules no longer apply. And I'm like, no, your HOA rules still applies. And so I'm looking for the legislation now to send it to him so he can have something to stand on when he decides to put these permits in place. And citizens don't say, they belong to the streets belong to the city. No, the streets belong to the HOA, we just maintain them. So the rules still apply. And he said that was his biggest thing, because they have a lot of, same thing we're dealing with in all the other streets. If I don't know if you notice, when you ride by there now, you see cars parked up on the entranceway. That's because it's so overcrowded and people are parking in the visitor spaces and in other people's spaces, so they really don't have any room over there. So you want to affect the parking permit program through the HOA, which is much easier than going through the city. So that's where we are with that. Yeah. Yeah,
because I was looking for that ordinance also, and I was not able to find that. And also, while we're on that, can I ask one other question of the cell sites? We haven't received any information pertaining to that either. And I saw in the mayor's report where you all had another meeting with a party to discuss that. But as a council person, I haven't seen any information pertaining to that.
Now, we assumed that the mayor had sent it to you, because I was asking the same thing. She's like, oh yeah, it's in my email. So I said, okay, so you want to, so she said she was going to send it to the rest of the council, but I have not had any other meetings with that group. And that she put in her thing that she had another meeting with them, then it was not with me. And I don't know if Councilman Harrison met with him or not, but I don't think so, because normally she reached out to both of us at the same time. So I know I haven't had any other meeting with Crown Clock or whoever they are, whoever they're called. Yeah, I haven't had any other meetings with them. So if she's met with them, she met with them on her own. Because I just had to emphasize with the chief that no permit can be issued for these things until they come before the council for approval. So again, I don't know anything about another meeting.
Okay, so she's saying accomplished under resolution council actions, met with Councilman Herring and Harrison and Heather McComb from the Crown Castle team evolution. Right. So is she just repeating something? This is a repeat from a prior mayor's report?
Yeah, it must be, because we did not meet with meet with anyone else again. Like I said, I don't know why she put that in her report again. Maybe she's, like you say, re-emphasizing a previous report, because there was not another meeting. I haven't talked to him. She
said you identified cellular receptivity. So, I mean, this is what she's saying that you all did, improvement zones, and identified cellular receptivity. So, I mean, that's what's in her report. So I was just wondering. And like I said, you have to receive any documentation pertaining to
I'll forward to the whole council. I thought she had already forwarded it to y'all, so I'll forward it to y'all tonight.
All right, sir, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Councilwoman Jones. Councilwoman, Fareed.
Sorry, I was waving my hand before you didn't see me. I just wanted to
Sorry.
confirm that the Easter event was mailed out. It was in the newsletter that was mailed out last month. So citizens should have received it in the mail as well, information about the event, as well as the April 15th Youth Literacy Day. That's also in that mailer. So I don't know, I guess that's what I was asking you before, Councilman Herring, if you're saying that in addition to those things, we should have individual postcards for events, or should we just be utilizing, this mailer that we have for all of them?
I'm gonna tell you, I just feel that you should probably do the postcards too, because a lot of people I talk to don't really read the newsletters. There's like it's a lot, and the print is small, and they have trouble reading it. So I mean, it goes out, but I don't know if everybody's reading it, and because I got it and I looked through it and I didn't even see that. But again, I mean, I always do postcards because I feel it's an effective way to let them know exactly what's going on with this council in the events that we are actually hosting. And I would like to have them come out to them. So, yeah. So.
Thank you. Councilman Hairston.
Yeah, so I'm just speaking to the meeting with the mayor. I haven't met with her more than the time that we had met with her that one time, and I think she may just be reiterating that meeting that we already had.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion, concerns? And now we will go to City Manager Tabitha Chief on the Gold Room, interviews, personnel, and council direction.
Thank you and good evening.
Good evening.
The question that I have after talking to staff and talking to President Curtis is looking for council direction on going forward with hiring personnel for the Gold Room, the coordinator, the crew. I'm hearing getting a different picture that perhaps the crew members are folks that the city manager hires, but the coordinator is hired by the council on just needing some direction and clarity.
Anyone want to touch that? I don't see any problem with the city manager doing the hiring for the Gold Room, and we do our part after that. Anyone have anything? Councilman Harrison.
No, my hand is still up.
Okay. Okay. Councilwoman Guillaume.
I actually agree. Thank you, Council President. I actually agree with City Manager Habita. I do think that it would make better sense since she's going to be the city manager is the person who will be supervising the Gold Room coordinator. So I do think that it would be best if they were the ones to lead those efforts.
Thank you. Councilwoman Jones.
I agree with Councilwoman Guillaume and yourself, as if the city manager is, if the Gold Room coordinator and the crew and all of that would be just regular employees, so that's no issue. But the Gold Room coordinator, if it's going to be an issue where we have to come up with a resolution and do an interview, then it falls back into council's hands. But like Councilwoman Guillaume has stated, and I believe that the Gold Room coordinator is going to be under the supervision of the city manager, then she could go ahead and hire the person and get that out of the way.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes, Councilman Herring.
Yeah, but the Gold Room rule says that the coordinator will be appointed by the council. So I have no problem with like you say, the city manager doing the legwork, going through the resumes and everything else to bring them on board, because that's normally what happens. And they just bring us her pick and we can follow up that way. I mean, I don't feel we should have to go through and interview them, all over again, if that's what she wants to do. It'll make it a little bit more efficient once she goes through and because they're going to be working for her. And I think it'll give the government coordinator a better understanding that she works under the city manager and not under the council, which I think sometimes it gets confusing. So that's it for me.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you very much.
Okay. What else we have here? Mr. Curtis not here. So, and then we have the fiscal year 24 budget update code. Again, city manager.
Just to give you a heads up that in the just under 3 weeks since I've been here, I've looked at gone through the budget except for one group, and that's the American Rescue Plan. We haven't reviewed that together, Dean Stewart and I. But I wanted to give you all a heads up that I'm planning to pull code enforcement operations back under the city manager. And I'm looking to, and I'm going to be proposing a manager position for code enforcement that would train staff on and arrange for special certification training for code enforcement staff. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that you'll see that in the upcoming budget with code coming back under the city manager and proposing a code manager position to assist in supervising code staff.
So that would be an added full-time employee
Yes,
position.
yes.
Okay. Councilwoman Jones.
Okay, thank you, Council President. So Ms. Habita, that would also include looking at the business licenses and bringing those up to speed. Would he also be in, let's say, rental properties? Would that person be, that position that you want to bring in, would it include those things? What other job duties have you identified for this person to perform?
The position would be focused on rental licensing, business licenses. If there are vacant buildings and vacant properties, a license fee would be proposed to give an incentive to the folks who may have vacant buildings to have them occupied. And any land that is vacant land that is creating problems for code that requires any grass cutting by Public Works as abatements, there would be a fee proposed for addressing vacant buildings and vacant land that represents a cost to the city in terms of dealing with grass cutting.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Councilwoman Guillaume.
Thank you, Council President. City Manager Habita, if when the time comes, if you can just keep me abreast, while you keep the council abreast, of course, if you and I, let's connect offline, because we did pass legislation, the council passed legislation almost a year ago, the Intergenerational Poverty Relief Fund, where it's heavily based on code compliance and homes that are struggling, households that are struggling and are on limited income. So specifically the aging population, veterans, et cetera, et cetera. So if you and I can touch base I'll communicate with you offline, but I would like to know more about the code manager position and how we can try to expedite and work together, the legislative body and administration, to make sure that the Intergenerational Poverty Relief Fund is applied. And also we do have, and I'm pretty sure you've probably been made aware of this, but we did go into a contract with the ARPA fund project manager. So maybe when the time comes, we can collectively just get together just to make sure that the money gets to the households that are in need from a code compliance perspective.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Will you finish?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, next would be constant yield deadline of our treasurer, Mr. Dean Stewart.
Good evening, everyone. I want to bring to your attention that the constant yield deadline will be on May 25th, and that's the day when I'm planning to send the information or transmit the information for the rate that we're planning for the tax charges for next fiscal year. The constant yield as it stands right now is 0.3273 for each $100 of assessment that is done to properties in the city of Glenarden. Right now, between myself and the president has been discussing what rate we would consider. And we were suggesting between him and myself that we could stay at the rate that it was for fiscal year 2023. But for that, I'll have to give you more analysis as to tell you what the difference would be between one rate to the other as it relates to different assessments of property. One like what we did last year, where we look at different values and what the difference in cost would be. And in most cases, these costs are generally small amounts between, $13 to $32 between a $200,000 to a $500,000 property. But I'll do more analysis to give you more information on that. But the deadline, I should repeat, I will be sending this information to the Department of Finance, the county, on May 25th. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, lastly, we have the city manager.
Madam President.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Councilman Herring.
Yes, I just have a question for the treasurer. So we need to make a decision. We need to follow all the proper protocol to make a decision on what we're going to do, correct, Mr. Stewart?
Exactly.
Whether we're going to take it out or we're going to keep it.
Right, you're exactly right. And I have been going through the numbers up to today, and I think I need another day with the city manager to make sure that we cover all bases to determine whether it's fair to just stay at the rate that it is and maybe lean more on reserves. And that too, we'll have to discuss between ourselves and the council to determine whether we should, consider going into reserves to, ensure that we don't burden the residents too much.
Well, okay, yeah, because that does need to be a discussion, because the trash went up almost $400,000. That went up $400,000, and we got to pay for it somehow. And I think that if we continue not taking advantage of the assessments that are being that's on a bit that's being passed along on a real property, then we're gonna end up hurting ourselves. In 2008, when the housing market bubble burst, the only thing that saved Glenarden was our reserves. We didn't have to lay off anybody. We didn't have to cut any services. We were able to function as we did previously before that bubble burst, because the money that we got after that bubble burst was way less than what we had gotten in previous years, when everything was overappreciated. And while other municipalities had to lay people off, cut services and everything else. So tapping into the reserves every time we turn around, I think is a bad idea. We really need to, you got to pay for your services. We need to look at that. I think we've kept the rate down for the last 2 years. We really need to seriously look at bringing in additional income, especially to cover that the trash contract. And also, we were talking about bringing in new employees. We need a continual revenue stream for that. So, but that's a discussion for down the road. So, okay, I just wanted to make sure that we were clear that we had to go through the state required procedures in order to move forward with the concert year, whichever way we go.
Exactly, and we will be doing that. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Herring. Chief Brian, did he have his hand up?
Yes, real quick. I was do a quick follow-up in reference to the father-daughter dance. I understand that Sergeant had flyers printed and taken to the elementary schools and had the principal distribute them to students to take home to their parents. So, but we will be using the other avenues if in the future using postcards and stuff. So I just want to give that quick update.
Thank you. Okay. City Manager Happen.
Okay, thank you. The items under the briefing. The first one is the replacement of a public works truck. It is an older 2005 vehicle. We are looking at getting onto a governmental contract, either through the state, through the state of Maryland. And we have identified 2 different companies that we're determining which government contracts they may have that we can ride on. And with your indulgence, we would like to present that information in time for the public hearing in a resolution so that you'll have that information. We're still trying to pin down who the 2 actually have state contracts that sell trucks. We know that one of them sells patrol vehicles, both of them are supposed to sell trucks, but we have not firmed up yet who actually has anything in their inventory. So with your indulgence, we would like to present that for the public hearing, unless, of course, the 2 do not have any trucks in inventory, in which case we will keep looking for a governmental source so that we don't have to take the time to do bid packages to try to bid for a F-350 Ford truck replacement. If I may go to the next item, Vice President.
Yes, you can proceed.
Okay. For the street paving and sidewalk improvements, we have looked at 2 road contracts that the county has with 2 vendors, and we just today got the unit pricing for both of them. We haven't had time to, between this morning and this evening, to run the numbers on the unit pricing for both of them, for both sidewalk improvements, the concrete work, and the paving. The intent is to present to you at the public session the recommendation based on the total cost of the street paving and the sidewalk improvements. And it would, what we're focused on again is 2 companies that have already been awarded an indefinite quantities contract with Prince George's County. So with your indulgence, we would like to present that at the public hearing in resolution form, assuming that we have all our numbers lined up and there isn't a tie or something weird like that with these contracts. If I may move the next item.
You may.
The open space grant submission date was a request that came from a Councilmember Fareed. There are two grant programs in Maryland Department of Natural Resources. One is the Community Playground Grant. It opens up in May. The applications are due in August, but the award date isn't until the following June, which is unfortunate. In terms of the open space grants, the state open space grants are handled by Prince George's County. We would need to go through Prince George's County to find out their rules for handling the program open space funds for development projects. What I've seen so far is some smaller grants that go through open space, even for some of the larger municipalities, which is quite discouraging. So some more research needs to be done on that in order to firm up the information for Councilmember Fareed's interest in that question that I'm still trying to finalize with Prince George's County staff. And my final item is that so far I've met with 5 council members to get a sense of your priorities for things you want to see happen in the city. And I'm still trying to have a meeting with Councilmember Hairston and Councilmember Fareed, if you could be in touch with the council clerk to try to arrange a time when it would be convenient for you to meet with me by Zoom or in person, whichever is you're able to do. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, City Manager. Any other comments, concerns, questions?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman Herring.
I just want to let council know I just forwarded the information from Crown Council, so let me know if you didn't get it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
Everyone good? Okay, well, the time is 8:20 p.m. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you, citizens.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good
you.
evening.
Good
Thanks,
night,
bye-bye.
everyone.